You had your 11th triple-double today. 38, 13, 13, and 3 steals. Which one of those stats means the most to you?
The win. Yeah, the win mean the most.
Every NBA franchise spends years chasing that one moment, the arrival of the guy. He is a player who changes everything, the culture, the energy, and the entire direction of the team.
2020 NBA Draft. The Charlotte Hornets select LaMelo Ball from Chino Hills.
For the Charlotte Hornets, that defining moment finally hit in November of 2020, when a 19-year-old with unbelievable style and a famous last name already known across the basketball world entered their arena, LaMelo Ball.
How ready are you? You chomping at the bit to do this thing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely ready. I mean, we haven't played basketball in a minute with the times we've been in, so yeah, definitely ready to get on the court.
Before he had even stepped onto an NBA floor for a single game, there was already an undeniable aura surrounding him.
Melo's court vision and passing ability, I don't think is something you can teach.
I would make the argument LaMelo's a star, but LaMelo's swag is just off the charts.
By the way, LaMelo Ball is so fun to watch. He is must-watch TV already.
They know he's going to get everybody involved. He's leading this team.
Part mystery, part absolute inevitability.
He just continuously gets better, and he's a special player. He's not fazed by the moment. It's like he's been doing this for a number of years already, and he was special tonight. Playmaking, shot making, on the boards, made the right decisions. He's a special player.
He didn't just vow victory, he swore to provide pure entertainment.
Has Ayton in the crosshairs. Just a blow by. Wow! Get in there! Look at LaMelo! Great balls of fire!
He wasn't just another standard draft selection. He was a symbol of what the Hornets had desperately lacked for decades. Pure, undeniable excitement.
Miller!
But behind the flashing lights and viral mixtapes lived something much deeper. A critical question the league simply could not answer. Was LaMelo's unique style truly built to last? Could his free-flowing, unpredictable game finally translate into genuine control? The specific kind that builds a struggling franchise from the ground up. That is a story Charlotte walked into, one filled with incredible beauty and deep frustration. Flashes of pure brilliance mixed with long, dark stretches of total uncertainty.
I do think they have a future if the right pieces are put around this young group to help them develop and grow. I like LaMelo at point.
Because from the second LaMelo Ball appeared, one fact has always stood tall. Nothing about his entire journey was ever going to be easy. Before we move any forward, let me hear your ideas in the comments. I would truly value the feedback. And if you are loving the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It might seem minor, but it truly helps build up the channel. The typical rookie deal in the NBA spans 4 years, and that window is no mistake. It is a system designed for observation. Teams view those 4 seasons as a complete cycle of growth, a step-by-step trial to see if a raw prospect can evolve into a true NBA star. It is like a silent rulebook that every front office follows. Year 1 is strictly about testing the limits, a time for growth, errors, and learning without any harsh judgment. Year 2 becomes the proving ground, where a player begins to show who they will truly become. Then comes year 3, the make or break season. That is when coaches and owners expect to see the final product: confidence, stability, and sparks of dominance. By the 4th year, the verdict is usually out. The hype becomes reality. Teams either see a star in the making or decide to move away. Most of the time, this pattern holds. The ones who climb become franchise anchors. The rest get cast aside, remembered as what might have been. But every now and then, a player arrives who shatters that formula, someone who refuses to fit neatly into the league's projections. Now, here we are, 6 years removed from the 2020 draft.
LaMelo's court vision and passing ability, I don't think is something you can teach.
You can't.
He has
he shoots better.
An extra part of his brain somewhere.
And he shoots better than we thought he could.
Yeah.
And you watch and listen.
Shoots 38% from 3.
As a rookie, do you see guys literally grabbing the rebound? Everyone is looking for LaMelo.
Of course.
What that reminds you of? Yeah, the great point guards, Magic, and people like that. They're looking. They're grabbing the ball. Where's Melo? Where's LaMelo? Where's LaMelo? They want him to lead the break because he's such a beautiful passer.
Yeah.
They know he's going to get everybody involved. He's leading this team. He's special.
That is 2 seasons beyond the point where conclusions should be definitive. Yet, one puzzle still remains. Not Anthony Edwards, the top pick who keeps soaring higher every season. Not James Wiseman, the gifted big who never found his rhythm. It is LaMelo Ball, the basketball mystery who has been under the microscope his entire life.
LaMelo. Oh my goodness, how open can you be?
He's both captivating and irritating, brilliant and erratic. Observing him is like tossing a coin. You never know what you're going to see.
We're playing against the Celtics. Oh, LaMelo! What a pass! You got to score more! Hornets just dare him to shoot. Maybe got in his head.
I think T-John thought it was going up sooner than it did.
He's the type of player who creates highlight tapes one night and fuels massive arguments the next. So rather than adding more hype, let's pause, take a breath, and examine the entire picture. 6 years later, one question still rings louder than ever. Is LaMelo Ball truly the savior of the Charlotte Hornets, or just another unfinished tale in the NBA's long list of what-ifs?
This kid is gifted beyond gifted. He's doing it effortlessly with a smile on his face, like he's almost toying with the game.
When LaMelo Ball arrived in Charlotte, his career path was already clearly defined. After nearly a decade of Kemba Walker's heroic moments and signature stepbacks, the Hornets were finally prepared for a brand new era, one centered on flashy pace and a bit of controlled chaos. Their new 19-year-old floor general was fully expected to be the superstar leading that charge. Usually, when teams draft a young point guard, they pile on the heavy responsibility immediately, hoping the immense pressure will mold them into a leader. But Charlotte took a much different approach. They didn't have to force a thing. With Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham already successfully holding down the backcourt, the Hornets had enough veteran structure to stay competitive. That specific setup let LaMelo play completely freely. He could learn, take big chances, and show sparks of brilliance without the crushing weight of the entire franchise on his shoulders. His assignment was simple but crucial: fit into the team's rhythm while sprinkling in those moments of pure creativity that only he could provide. It was a patient plan focused on skill, not pressure, and it paid off. Early on, LaMelo was unpredictable in the absolute best and worst ways. Some nights he exploded for 20 points, slicing defenses apart with wild, no-look passes that made entire crowds gasp. Other nights his shot wouldn't fall, but his energy and vision kept the Hornets alive. And then there were those special games where everything finally came together: scoring, playmaking, and flair. Suddenly, the entire state of North Carolina was watching him in awe. He wasn't even 20 yet, but his confidence and maturity stood out. His chaotic drives began turning into sharp, intentional attacks toward the rim. Those risky passes that once flew out of bounds started hitting teammates right in stride, like something out of a viral highlight reel. Of course, the occasional heat check three or wild shot still showed up. That was part of his DNA. But instead of being reckless, they became glimpses of a player testing his own limits, learning exactly where greatness might begin. By the end of that rookie season, one thing was totally clear: LaMelo wasn't just a flashy prospect anymore. He was becoming the heartbeat of a franchise that finally had something exciting to believe in. By the time award season rolled around, LaMelo Ball wasn't just another exciting rookie. He was a national story. What started as a small market surprise had turned into one of the biggest headlines of the year. LaMelo didn't just edge out his peers for Rookie of the Year, he ran away with it. The race wasn't close. The Hornets, a franchise that had spent years chasing relevance, finally had their face of the future. And that future was already making noise in the present. Charlotte had battled through the East to earn a spot in the play-in tournament, and even though it ended abruptly with a tough loss to the Pacers, the energy surrounding the team was electric. Fans could feel it. Something was changing. After years of false starts and draft disappointments, they finally had a top 3 pick who looked like a real star. And if he kept developing like this, Buzz City wasn't just going to be fun, it was going to be dangerous. The following season, the Hornets coaching staff came in with confidence, maybe even a bit of swagger. The film had backed up what everyone saw on the court. LaMelo's unique instincts weren't luck, and his wild decision-making wasn't as reckless as critics once thought. He was already a functional, high-level player. Now the question was, could he take the next leap? This time, there would be no half measures. LaMelo was named the starting point guard from day one and tasked with running the show on almost every possession. More minutes, more shots, more opportunities to prove that his rookie breakout wasn't a fluke. And almost immediately, he looked ready for it. He became the centerpiece of Charlotte's offense, operating with a level of poise that didn't make sense for his age. His shot profile was modern and efficient. Step-back threes, floaters in traffic, quick pull-ups from deep. His length and vision gave him sightlines that smaller guards couldn't even imagine, threading passes through defenders like a magician working in real time. But what really separated him wasn't just the production, it was the feel. LaMelo's creativity off the dribble looked effortless. Most oversized point guards are powerful but a bit mechanical, stiff in their movements. LaMelo was the complete opposite. His dribble flowed like music, smooth, rhythmic, spontaneous. Every crossover and hesitation felt natural, unforced. He wasn't overthinking plays, he was reacting, reading defenders like an open book and moving a split second faster than everyone else. Watching him, it didn't look rehearsed or calculated, it looked like art. He was improvising, dancing with the ball, turning simple possessions into moments that made the entire arena hold its breath. You were watching a second-year point guard with Penny Hardaway's frame and Jamal Crawford's handle, smooth, creative, and fearless. Every time LaMelo Ball touched the ball, the Hornets looked sharper. The offense flowed, the team moved faster, and Charlotte suddenly looked like a real threat. The more he played, the more the team thrived, and they started winning again, staying in the playoff race deep into the season. When All-Star Weekend arrived, LaMelo was there, the first player from his draft class to earn the honor. For Charlotte, it was validation that their rebuild finally had a pulse. He led the Hornets to their best record in 7 years before another early play-in exit. Still, that didn't matter much. Charlotte wasn't ready to compete for titles yet, but now they had something they hadn't had in years. A true foundation. A 6'7" point guard with flash, flair, and instincts that look straight out of an NBA Street video game. If they had to sit through a couple more play-in heartbreaks, so be it. For once, the Hornets had their guy, and fans were ready to dream again. Heading into 2023, expectations were sky high. 2 straight play-in appearances and a maturing LaMelo made the playoffs seem within reach. Carolina was buzzing again, imagining home playoff games and a rising young core. But those dreams came crashing down. 3 consecutive ankle injuries derailed LaMelo's season before it could even take off. He played just 36 games, spending most of them trying to regain his rhythm, while Charlotte stumbled to a 27-win season. The energy that once lit up Buzz City dimmed for the moment. But everyone knew the truth. If LaMelo Ball could get healthy again, the Hornets' hope wasn't gone. It was just waiting for its comeback. The buzz that once surrounded the Hornets had quieted down. What was supposed to be LaMelo Ball's grand 30-year breakout had been put on pause. Instead of his long-awaited rise to national superstardom, fans were stuck watching a season that felt lifeless, night after night of Terry Rozier pull-ups and Kelly Oubre heat checks. The optimism that once filled the Spectrum Center had drained out, replaced by frustration and exhaustion. But underneath the gloom, there was one sliver of light. Charlotte's losing season landed them back near the top of the draft lottery. Sure, missing out on the #1 overall pick in 2023 hurt badly, but landing the 2nd pick and selecting Brandon Miller was the next best thing. The Hornets had found the possible co-star for LaMelo, a smooth, confident wing scorer with size, range, and a killer instinct. For the first time in years, it felt like the team's vision actually made sense. LaMelo would orchestrate, Miller would finish, and together they could grow into something special. Still, the delay was frustrating. Fans had waited a whole year to see LaMelo take his next step, and now they had to wait again. But hope lingered. When the 2024 season began, LaMelo returned, healthy, determined, and ready to remind everyone why he'd been an all-star. He started fast, breaking down defenses, controlling tempo, and creating highlight passes like nothing had changed. The Hornets were young, uneven, and still learning, but with LaMelo leading the charge, there was a sense of direction again. Then came the twist no one wanted. Another ankle injury. It was his third in less than 2 seasons. He tried to play through it, coming back briefly in January, but the pain never truly faded. After just 8 more games, Charlotte had no choice but to shut him down again. By season's end, he'd played only 36 games, bringing his 2-year total to just 58. The excitement of his All-Star season now felt like a lifetime ago. When the 2025 season arrived, LaMelo found himself facing a new kind of pressure. The Hornets weren't ready to move on, but 2 lost years had changed everything. The ownership group was new, the front office had been rebuilt, and the coaching staff had been completely overhauled. Everyone who drafted him, defended him, and built around him was gone. The new faces all said the right things, praising his talent, calling him a franchise cornerstone, but behind those words, there was a quiet sense of uncertainty. The organization needed results. New executive Jeff Peterson was brought in to steady the ship. His goal was clear: restore direction to a franchise that had drifted for too long. To do that, he had to form his own opinions about everyone, especially LaMelo Ball, the one-time All-Star who had spent more time watching in street clothes than leading on the floor. The bright side was that the Hornets' new head coach, Charles Lee, seemed like the perfect fit. Fresh off a run with the championship-winning Celtics, Lee brought a system designed for modern basketball, fast-paced, team-oriented, and built around spacing. His offense was a 5-out setup that encouraged players to shoot freely and attack from all angles. In theory, it was exactly what LaMelo needed: open lanes to drive, shooters ready to fire, and the freedom to improvise the way he did best. For the first time in a while, it felt like the system would finally fit the star instead of forcing the star to fit the system. LaMelo had space, rhythm, and the chance to play at his natural tempo again. It wasn't quite as wild as his high school days, but close enough. The early results were encouraging. There were nights when his shot selection looked a little out of control, and the box score numbers went from genius to chaos in a matter of quarters. But the brilliance was there. The full-court dimes, the deep step-backs, the fearless drives through traffic, all of it reminded everyone of what he could be when healthy. After years of stop-and-start progress, it finally felt like LaMelo Ball had landed in the right environment. A coach who trusted him, a teammate built to complement him, and a system that let him breathe. For the first time in a while, the Hornets weren't just hoping. They were starting to believe again. The new system was clicking. For the first time in years, Charlotte basketball had rhythm again. Fast pace, freedom, flow, the ball was moving, the energy was back, and LaMelo Ball was finally thriving in a setup that made sense for his style. The new front office and coaching staff were beginning to understand exactly why the old regime had viewed him as the future. He was everything they hoped: creative, unpredictable, and still capable of moments that made you believe he could be one of the most gifted playmakers in the league. But then, like clockwork, the injuries resurfaced. This time, it wasn't a freak fracture or a devastating ankle twist that sidelined him for months. It was something quieter, a constant nagging soreness in his ankles and wrists that just wouldn't leave. It didn't fully take him out of the lineup, but it never really let him stay in rhythm either. He'd miss a few games, return, look off balance, then repeat the cycle. As the weeks went on, the frustration built. The soreness started eating away at his rhythm, and the numbers showed it. LaMelo was shooting career lows across the board. His shot from deep faded, his finishing looked hesitant, and the spark that once separated him started flickering. The Hornets began to slide again, tumbling toward the bottom of the East. Finally, by late March, the decision was made. Charlotte shut him down once more. Now, it'd be easy to blame the season on injuries and move on. That's the simple answer. Another year stolen by bad luck. But that doesn't tell the full story. In truth, LaMelo played 47 games, more than half the season. And while he wasn't fully healthy, he also wasn't fully effective. He looked a lot like the same player we saw in 2022, only with sharper highs and deeper lows. When things were clicking, he still flashed brilliance, those games where he'd go nuclear, pulling off passes that only he could see. But when things went wrong, it felt like he was forcing it, pressing too hard, and drifting away from what made him special in the first place. After roughly 3 seasons worth of tape, the story had taken shape. LaMelo Ball was still that hyper-talented, highlight-generating point guard, but he hadn't figured out how to turn his personal success into consistent winning. Some saw a franchise cornerstone waiting for the right break. Others saw a gifted but injury-prone guard who hadn't evolved. The organization found itself split too. There was enough evidence to justify moving on, and just enough flashes to convince them to stay patient. In the end, Charlotte chose the latter. They stayed the course, drafting sharpshooter Con Knuppel to give LaMelo another offensive weapon, reaffirming their confidence in coach Charles Lee, and giving Ball what was essentially his 4th checkpoint, one last full season to prove which direction this story was heading. And now, months into that make-or-break year, the results are, as always, complicated. Some nights he looks every bit like the superstar he was drafted to be. The shot creation, the vision, the control, everything comes together in a blur of futuristic basketball. But then there are the other nights when his confidence turns into overdrive, when possessions die in his hands, and all that flash feels like empty showmanship instead of impact.
The season is still young, but the patterns feel familiar. He is still producing more questions than answers. LaMelo Ball remains one of the most confusing players in the NBA. A walking contradiction who gives his fans endless hope one game and endless frustration the next. His biggest believers point to his youth, his creativity, and his flashes of brilliance as proof that his ceiling is still sky high. His critics see the injuries, the inconsistency, and the lack of winning and wonder if that ceiling was ever real. At this point, the debate around him has almost stopped being about basketball. It is about belief. You either see a future superstar being slowed by bad luck or a once promising project that may never fully come together. Both sides have enough evidence to back their claim, and neither is changing their minds anytime soon. And maybe that is the honest truth here. After all this time, after all the highs, lows, and pauses in between, nobody really knows what LaMelo Ball is yet. He is still a mystery. An all-star who might be one hot streak away from elite status or one more injury away from becoming an afterthought. So we won't pretend to have the answer. We will just admit what everyone's been circling since the start. Even after years of watching him, studying his tape, and trying to make sense of the chaos, we still don't know. All-star? Maybe. All-NBA someday? Possible. Injury-prone enigma? Definitely. Failed franchise gamble? Not yet. But the clock is ticking. Every one of those futures still feels possible, and nothing has tipped the scales. So as the season rolls on, all we can do is keep watching, because for now, LaMelo Ball remains one of basketball's biggest questions, and we are all just guessing the answer. So now that we've reached this point, what do you think about LaMelo's story? Has he just been unlucky, or is this who he really is as a player? Can he still become the superstar Charlotte believed in, or are we watching that window slowly close? I would really love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Seriously, your perspective means a lot, and I am thankful every time I get to read what you think about these stories. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, share the video with a friend who loves hoops, and subscribe to Basketball Pulse so you don't miss what is coming next. We've got more stories lined up, moments that shape players, teams, and the league in ways you might not expect. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.